much more than entertainment.
Many strides, one dream, many heartbeats, one pulse. Sagicor, celebrating Jamaican success. The time by Sagicor is
7 o'clock.
Coming up in CVM News at 7, flooding and landslides devastate St. James community. U.S. immigration policy in the spotlight ahead of U.S. presidential elections. Jamaicans brace for back to school. We also have our Sunday premiere of Inspire Jamaica. While in sports, injury forces Leon Bailey out of Reggae Boys squad. From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7, the weekend edition. It's Sunday, the first day of September 2024. I'm TK Dawkins. Horrific scenes flashed across the eyes of some Montego Bay residents on Saturday when heavy rainfall caused severe flooding and land slippage in their community. But the horror is now the least of their problems. Recovery is the next big issue. Trisha Gay Kelly details their stories.
Mud everywhere. The muck and devastation Johns Hall residents in St. James will have to bear for a while. After heavy rains flooded their community, they are left to clean up what they can with the stagnant water and debris from landslides. But what occurred sometime between Saturday and Sunday comes as a surprise to many. The residents do not know how to move forward.
It's just a devastation kind of rain. It just come from up the hill, and after a while it started falling here. The two rivers come together, and we just see the car, them just start move. All of this something then just start go away. We have to run out of the shop, water flood out in the shop, all of those things.
I lose everything. It was a great loss yesterday, trust me. My electrical appliances, my fridge, as you can see it over there, water is filled up inside of it, in the engine part. My dryer, all my electrical appliances. My customer, she had a car parked over there. See the car over there, it's flooded out.
But luckily, her car is still in the yard. For other residents, theirs sailed away.
Somebody called me and video call and show me the car, a wash come down the road. So when I just leave, go to work, I don't really know what happened, but when God are doing work, we can't stop it. First I ever seen things like this. And it couldn't reverse. The greatest thing in our life was taken. So we have to just give thanks and start again.
While this is new to them, for others, it's quite common. Ralston Holmes, another resident, shares his experience with such disasters.
This will be the worst one. Yeah, but in my eyesight, about 7 times now we see it. Yeah, so.
How long live here?
About 26 years. Yeah, when I come here, I come see what they're going. I can see the water that run on the road like a tank, like a river.
So where do the residents go from here? Well, clearing roadways has begun. Operations did not conclude up until 11 o'clock Saturday night, with a contractor and the Jamaica Public Service JPS lending a helping hand to residents. Councillor for the Springmount Division, Yuval Graham, says the work continues as school begins on Monday.
With all the damages that take place last night, we are working assiduously to clear all roads. The fact that tomorrow is school, we're working non-stop. So we are here from last night clearing road, and this morning early, we are back on the job to make sure that all the road are clear and ready for back to school in the morning, so residents can traverse this road without any obstacles.
Sympathizing with residents who have lost assets in the disaster, Graham says his team will provide all the assistance they can to restore normalcy. Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
Though the councillor has assured residents he will be doing his best, going back to normal will take a while for some more than others. For one resident, it's not just about getting her vehicle fixed. It's about the family connection opportunities she lost as a result of the incident.
It was one of the worst times for something like this to happen, definitely to me, because I had some family members that came from Clarendon yesterday and I was supposed to meet them here for a funeral, so we would all meet up because there's a lot of them that I haven't met in person. We have only talked on phone. And we decided that we would meet up today because the funeral would be at 11. But unfortunately, I have to be here. So, I had to work last night. I couldn't go to work. I'm not sure if I'll be able to go to work this afternoon either.
I also informed my Member of Parliament, Mr. Edmund Bartlett, and he was here with us yesterday in the Johns Hall area, looking at some of the damages that was done and see how best we can address these damages and how we can bring everything back to normality for the opening of school tomorrow.
According to the Planning Institute of Jamaica, the PIOJ 2022 Economic and Social Survey, 2021 saw a decline in the number of Jamaicans successfully emigrating to the United States, with a 38.4% decrease. However, stakeholders in the immigration field are raising awareness that dependent on the outcomes of the U.S. presidential elections, that number may be reduced even further. Joel Croskill reports on the recent Jamaica Immigration Summit.
A big-ticket item in the U.S. presidential election race and a concern for many Jamaicans. The issue of immigration to the U.S. was explored during the recent Jamaica Immigration Summit hosted by Jamaican-born and Orlando-based immigration attorney Sekou Clark, who advised Jamaicans to prepare for any potential changes in policy once a new president is elected.
So right now, as you know, there's a Biden-Harris administration. Through the Biden-Harris administration, it was significantly more flexible for immigration, right? In terms of visa approvals and approvals in our office, we haven't fell below a 92% approval rate for visas, applications, waivers, right? They have opened up significantly more pathways for people to enter the U.S. and for people to get residency. What does that mean for Jamaicans here, right? It means that one, do applications from now, right? Or two, just mentally prepare yourselves that when you're entering the country, make sure you have all the ducks in a row. Make sure that there's no funny business. Make sure you're not trying to cuss out the officer in the line, because they will be emboldened, even more emboldened than they are now, to keep you out of the country.
Visa consultant Kerry-Ann Palmer notes a growing trend of persons seeking to claim special access to the visa approval process.
One of the big fraud things that is going on right now is persons paying for visas. There is absolutely no link at the embassy. Let me debunk that. There is no link at the embassy. I have been receiving these calls from last week. Persons paying $250,000, $300,000. The fact that you go to the embassy and you get that white paper in hand, it means that you are already qualified for the visa.
Always find out. I remember in October of last year, for around 3 weeks, I got probably over 50 people who probably used the same agency, and they got their visas, and then subsequently, probably like a month later, everybody got a cancellation. Visa canceled, visa revoked. I spoke to somebody at the embassy, and they said yes, they were able to bust a big ring for 2 agencies who were fraudulently completing visas. So,
despite reports that fewer Jamaicans are attempting to enter the United States illegally via its Mexico border, another major concern of local law enforcement centers around persons seeking employment opportunities overseas to countries within the region that do not require a visa, with reports that the number of women who have been trafficked in this way is the highest it's been in several years. Some fear that stricter immigration policies to enter the United States may result in human traffickers increasingly targeting that demographic. Joel Croskill, CVM News.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport Darrell Vaz will ride on a Jamaican Urban Transit Company JUTC bus on Monday, September 2, in observation of the operations of the JUTC on the first day of the new academic year. The ministers will travel from the Halfway Tree Transport Centre on a route to be announced, with the intention to stop briefly at 2 schools along the selected corridor. Minister of Education and Youth Favour Williams, along with Permanent Secretary for the Ministry, Dr. Kassan Troop, will also be on location to welcome students to the new academic year. With school pretty much back in session, parents will need all the help they can get. This year, Sagicor Foundation awarded students, over 40 students, for their excellence in academics and more. The foundation also designed 2 new scholarships to honor their late founder. Trisha Kelly tells us more.
Please grant us the wisdom and strength to make the most of the opportunities we have been afforded by the Sagicor Foundation.
A little child shall lead them, and the Sagicor Foundation continues to inspire the nation's youth to push forward with its annual scholarship for secondary and tertiary students. The scholarships were awarded to students excelling not only academically, but in community service as well. One such recipient is Shaniel Gale, who will be attending the University College of the Caribbean, UCC, this year.
I've created an application called TQ Transcriber to transcribe audio and video into text content. I also have a YouTube channel as well as tutoring outside of that I teach persons who are visually impaired all across the world to use various devices and various technology with their screen readers despite their disabilities.
The annual appreciation to them is an honor, as expressed by recipient of the inaugural R. Danny Williams Award for Leadership and Volunteerism.
This means definitely a lot to me. This shows me that there are persons in high places actually looking and seeing where Jamaicans are doing extremely well as it relates to volunteerism and giving back to the community, which will help others like me to do just the same.
The 2 new awards were introduced to highlight the legacy of the late R. Danny Williams, who was the founder of Sagicor Life. Sagicor Group's president and CEO Christopher Zaka is urging recipients to always remember their purpose.
This commitment comes with great responsibility, and so we urge you all to take it seriously. The investment being made in your education is not just financial, and it's not just us, it's all the community around you, your parents, your guardians, your teachers, your friends. And you have the potential to make a meaningful impact on the world. You must now please honor this commitment by striving for excellence always.
The secondary scholarships are valued at $50,000 with renewal benefits for up to 5 years. Tertiary scholarships are valued at up to $300,000 and are also renewable up to 4 years. The foundation first began its scholarship program in 1994. Today, they celebrate 3 decades of giving back. Trisha Kelly, CVM News.
Back to school is right around the corner, and many students geared up at back-to-school treats across Kingston this week. Different groups pooled their efforts, featuring activities with a new focus on tertiary education and students with disabilities. Courtney Lewis tells us more about the projects.
With schools set to reopen on Monday, scores of students and parents were beneficiaries of the Empower to Inspire Foundation's Back-to-School Health Fair, with this year's staging focused on persons with disabilities.
We had the health fair because we want to do more for the disability community. We want to give back, not just on Christmas Day, but we want to give back on any. It's to see that we are an individual from different backgrounds that's going around to give back to the less fortunate community. So they said, okay, this sounds like a good initiative. And
their treat involved hairdressing, barber services, and school supply giveaways. But they weren't the only ones giving back. Students in Southwest St. Andrew also benefited from a treat hosted by Member of Parliament Dr. Angela Brownberg, which they say was very beneficial.
Well, it's very challenging because I'm not from a wealthy background. My parents, they don't have the financial power required to like carry me through the entire experience, which is why I do have to express my gratitude towards the counseling staff because they are doing a lot right now.
Well, actually, I was planning to like delay attending and like attending next year. During this period, I'd like try working and like build up the amount of money needed, and like my aunt would have like tried to help me out wherever I needed help. It actually helps me to continue my studies like without delaying it and like going this.
The MP says this effort saw more tertiary students applying for financial aid, but the project is one she is grateful for. Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
CVM News at 7 continues in a moment.
Me, I go show them my way of justice.
I'm abused.
I need legal advice. I don't deserve this.
The truth of the matter is, justice there for all of it. The Ministry of Justice has trained more than 5,600 persons in restorative justice practices. More than 200,000 victims have been supported by the victim services. Legal aid has reached thousands island-wide. Make we talk it out, not fight it out. Call 888 Justice today.
Keep your career options open for local and overseas job opportunities in the booming hospitality and tourism industry with City and Guilds and AVE endorsed certification at Distinction College. Start online and face-to-face classes very soon in a career of high demand for workers globally and get certified in housekeeping, food preparation, waitering, travel, tourism and hospitality, bartending and mixology, customer service, call center, cake baking and decorating, airline ticketing. No subjects required, no age limit. Register this week and get an additional course for free. Call Distinction College at 876-356-4167 or 354-8560. Visit us in Kingston, Spanish Town, Ocho Rios online or St. Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Celine Gordon, host of Holy Road.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy John Mark Wigan, host on the show Holy Road. Listen, people need to know what's happening in the churches and in ministry in all of Jamaica. It's an absolute blessing. We're really excited to share this.
Tune in to CVM See It Happen.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Welcome back. It's now time for regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. Belize is hosting the third high-level dialogue of the Regional Climate Change Platform of Economy and Finance Ministries of Latin America and the Caribbean, taking place in San Pedro. The dialogue brings together ministers and senior representatives from 18 countries, regional agencies, IDB executives, and bilateral partners. A key outcome of the meeting will be the formal adoption of a unified regional vision on sustainable finance. Jordan Schwartz, Executive Vice President of the IDB, underscored the need for a regional approach to tackle the increasing effects of climate change. The details from Love FM Belize.
The data on this is pretty clear. Hurricanes are now 3 times more frequent than 100 years ago in the Atlantic, and the proportion of major hurricanes, category 3 or above, as I understand, has doubled since 1980 in the Atlantic. And as probability works, when frequencies and intensities increase, overlapping crises become more common, which creates yet another form of financial and economic stress. So over the last few years in our region, destructive hurricanes have landed on us during COVID, during a devastating global pandemic, and droughts, floods, and wildfires have erupted simultaneously in the same regions. This means we must look for ways to confront hurricanes that no longer respect our seasons, like Beryl, and large-scale events that overlap with the lingering effects of sea level rise, coral bleaching, the spread of sargasso, storm surge, droughts, and wildfires, not to mention pandemics, mosquito-borne diseases, heat-related deaths, and other health scares. It's a terrible list.
In Barbados, AnimeCon 2024 has a special twist to it this year, as some students will be able to gain scholarships to colleges to learn how to create video games. This from director Omar Kennedy, who is speaking at the 13th edition of the event. CBC News Barbados tells us more.
Director Omar Kennedy says AnimeCon is the largest pop culture event in the Eastern Caribbean. He says this year they have a special guest on the island who is in search of talent to broaden the scope of gaming in Barbados.
This year we have international guest Craig Skilling, and he is actually an educator who is now coming to Barbados looking for persons who are engaging in esports. And what he wants to do is give scholarships to US universities for those who are very good at gaming and want to take their skills internationally. So those are the sort of things that we are doing at AnimeCon this year. We have Sir Julius Cosplay. He is a world-renowned cosplayer. He is here in Barbados as well, and he is going to be mentoring some of our cosplayers, chatting with them, seeing how we can give them some international exposure as well. So with AnimeCon, we're looking to build out persons' presences, not just in terms of their craft in Barbados, but building their online presences as well across the globe.
Mr. Kennedy says the whole scope of gaming and creatives can create career opportunities for persons in Barbados, while also contributing to foreign exchange and the economy.
We're trying to push our esports athletes internationally. We're looking to encourage persons who do create to expand their foci beyond Barbados, beyond the region, to go to the North Americas, to go to Europe, to go to Japan. We now have the new video game design course at the Barbados Community College, so that's being celebrated here as well.
And in international news, thousands have begun queuing in Gaza as a massive polio vaccination campaign for children is underway. The UN's World Health Organization says it aims to vaccinate 640,000 children, weeks after the first polio case was detected in Gaza in 25 years. We turn to the BBC.
2 drops. As the UN begins vaccinating against polio in Gaza, a dose is easy to give. But carrying out a mass immunisation campaign in a combat zone is a huge challenge. Parents of the first vaccinated children are relieved.
I was worried and afraid because this is scary, the polio disease. This disease makes the children unable to move.
Baby Abdul Rahman was crawling early, but now his mum worries he'll never be able to walk. He was the first child found to have polio in Gaza in 25 years, and it paralysed his leg. Because of the war, he wasn't vaccinated, and now medical care is limited.
Abud wants to live and be treated. He wants to live and walk like other children. I feel a lot of guilt that he didn't get the vaccination, but I couldn't give it to him because of our circumstances.
Displaced 5 times, the baby's family now lives in a crowded tent camp in Deir Balach in central Gaza. Raw sewage flows through streets nearby. Conditions are ideal for diseases to spread, especially polio, which is highly infectious.
And that's it for regional and international news.
Hours away from the first day of back to school after a long summer break, all parents will be focusing on getting the students off with the least amount of conflict. For this Inspire Jamaica, Curlin Brown zones in on the variations if the child has a developmental disorder.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can.
No matter the source from which it flows, naturally or man-made, water is enticing, it's captivating, and it's calming. Right after summer, the most popular 3 words, back to school. Oh yes, it's time to get those children out of the comfy zone and back into the early mornings and getting ready to go off to where education matters.
Back to school. Jump. All right. Yeah. Come up here.
Lowenfield and Terry and Elaine, parents of 13-year-old Alex Xavier, are among thousands of families brushing off August and welcoming September with mixed emotions.
All right, back to school for us come with some anxiety, I must tell you. First and foremost, he's changing school. He has just finished kindergarten, not kindergarten. Primary level. He has just finished primary level, and we are now going into secondary. So he's changing school. You know, it's a bit of anxiety for us because we don't know what the environment holds.
But that's pretty much the same for anyone dealing with a first, you may say. True. Just that Alex, as they call him, is one of the approximately 700 children born with autism yearly in Jamaica.
You know, autism is a developmental disorder. It affects children in different ways. So one child can be nonverbal, the other may not be. Him being nonverbal, and I still say nonverbal because he's minimally verbal, we're getting a few words out, but we're still working on that. Not yet used to the environment, and he's somebody who he doesn't really adapt quickly to new environment. He tends to have a little anxiety until he's comfortable and wanting to settle down. For us, especially with a child that's minimally verbal and he has to have a caregiver at all times during school, it's not only just prep for the child, it's prep for the caregiver as well. The person needs to be acclimatized with the environment, understanding his needs and adapting to that environment as well. And understanding too that our child is not going to take the regular academic route, right? He has to have a program that is tailored specifically for him to meet his needs. So it's not only that the program needs to be specialized, but you know, being in a new school, new environment, you know, new faces around, all those sort of things. And autism is a condition that the children typically like routines and familiarity. And while that might be so for, you know, your neurotypical children, it is even heightened when it comes on to a child with autism.
Inspire Jamaica is crowning the Alaines model parents who, even with the stigma, after experiencing drastic changes in the development of their only child, are sticking it out.
Started out at a daycare that is connected to a kindergarten facility. So the intent was that he would transition from daycare into K1, etc. Because Alex Xavier developed normally up to about 1 year old, little bit post 1, so he would have been counting, would have been saying the alphabet and so on. But then she found that he started to regress, and then there wasn't the eye contact and those sort of things. So having seen those signs, then she indicated to us that, you know, mommy, daddy, something looks like it is off. She didn't put a label on it because she really didn't know what the label was, but she indicated to us that something was off, and she encouraged us to have a discussion with our pediatrician, which is exactly what we did.
From a series of tests with audiologists, developmental pediatrician, and other referrals, more with the Alaines next time. I'm Curlin Brown. Let's continue to inspire Jamaica.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place.
Join us for sports with Angelique after this break.